Well, I've got no ideas on where to start. Not a shred. I mean, I took notes, I watched the movie, I enjoyed Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl even. I'm just not sure what would be interesting for me to talk about. I guess I should go back to the beginning and scan through for ideas. Okay, here's my walking on the beach. Oh, I wonder if that means that this is outside of the container. That makes sense. The bulk of the film is a nested story, all set between Shoko's elementary school anxiety where she's uncertain about the future, and then after the events of the film gains that certainty wherein all of those events we just watched never transpired. So that'd be foreshadowing Mai being in that film poster at the beach at the end of the movie. That's a pretty cool small tie-in. Wow, speaking of, I didn't realize how much of this film was nested. There's only about 5.5 minutes that truly happens in the universe's chronology. Though, I guess that's not particularly special. It's pretty normal for time travel stories to do stuff like this. A character goes back in time to prevent the events of the show from happening, so only one person and/or the audience is aware of what happened. Structurally, it makes sense because the audience isn't aware that nothing in the story is going to wind up being real, so they're along for the ride emotionally and invested in the characters and storyline. And even having foreknowledge regarding the potential of time travel doesn't take away from the journey that leads to resetting. Sakuta and Mai still have to decide to risk losing each other and their experiences for the sake of Shoko. That emotional struggle is best represented in the 3 timelines that wind up existing prior to the reset. The first timeline where Sakuta dies, the second timeline where Mai dies, and the third where they give up Shoko. We never see the first timeline, it's just the neutral state that Shoko informs us of, but it's clear that that outcome is just as bad for Mai as that second timeline is for Sakuta. And both are bad for the audience because if you're watching this movie, you're likely invested in that relationship. And the final timeline, while keeping them together, still feels hollow because it's against Sakuta's character and it's not really Mai's either. Them choosing to reset the nested story is an affirmation not only of the strength of their relationship, but also their characters. Normally, resets allow the audience to see what's changed, lovers now unaware of each other's existence, but Rascal plays the reset super safe. Nothing is lost in the end, all of the characters have the same relationships they had before they started the film, despite it even undoing the show that preceded it. They even have memories of the non-existent timeline enabling them to recognize Shoko almost instantly. Yeah, I could make a video exploring that nested loop structure, but I don't think that's a full video. Maybe if I compare it to a show like Steins Gate, but yeah, with Operation Yggdrasil, that'd be pretty messy. Maybe I should drill more into this idea of the movie being about the Sakuta-Mai relationship more so than Shoko. I mean, the film does affirm the idea that they are destined to be together, but honestly, that'd just be me recounting the ending of the nested story. The 3 timelines are interesting though, and it's more time travel discussion, which is my favorite. The inevitability of December 24th is really interesting, because it seems to create 2 options. The default timeline where Sakuta is hit by a car and dies, or the one where he avoids it thanks to his foreknowledge and Shoko dies instead. December 24th winds up being the central conflict of the film, with both external conflict, Sakuta and Mai arguing over his stated decision, and an internal one, Sakuta's personal desires versus his helpful nature. It all feels like it's coming to a head with Sakuta running, choosing Shoko's life over his own despite her desiring for that not to be the case. And Mai showing that seemingly binary choice to be false when she dies instead, creating a third option and a second timeline. The fated choices are broken in that moment, viewer expectations are shattered, and it hurts all the more because the audience had been operating under the assumption that Mai was never in danger. On the second go-around, the choices are now tertiary, Sakuta, Mai, or Shoko. Sakuta from the first timeline is unable to understand the Sakuta who lost Mai's position. Once that third possibility is on the table, it is impossible for Sakuta to sacrifice himself out of fear that Mai would go instead, even though he was so adamantly against it only 4 days prior. Someone has to die on December 24th. It is an inevitable part of the construction of the timeline, one that the entire cast has to despair over. And it is only after risking their togetherness that Sakuta and Mai are able to save Shoko, doing so by completely avoiding December 24th. Instead, their memories of said timeline becoming dreams, which in turn help them find a way to help Shoko far earlier without the need for a transplant, Sakuta by donating money and Mai by raising awareness with that film. Again, Rascal doesn't take any risks at the end. It's very much a total happy ending, but the puzzle of how to save all parties involved, especially when Mai's death is thrown in as a factor, gives the story a heft of emotional weight that the simple Shoko or Mai relationship drama at the beginning would later serve to retroactively empower. Huh. Well, I guess that could actually be an interesting video. How time travel is used to not only structure the movie in a macro sense, but also produce its core conflict and empower the two lead characters and their relationship. Alright. Hello, and welcome to Replay Value.